The buzzword part of this when I talk to coaches is interesting to me because I don't necessarily know that not know, but in my experience, I mean, as an athlete, as a younger coach, there was always dissatisfaction within the team. And there was always a tendency to jump to conclusions. And I think I went into my coach's office maybe twice, the mandatory meeting. Like, I didn't just walk in there and start having conversations, totally different relationship. But now, with the I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. With the changing of those relationships and the buzzwords, I think the conversation now changes where it's not necessarily what they're saying, it's the adults who are listening to it and the reactions that we give it. And I for example, my tennis coach had said, "Oh, we had a tough strength and conditioning session," and we'd say, "Oh, coach killed us today at practice, like ran us to death." Well, no, we didn't a normal strength and conditioning session. It's how we described it because we
Right.
were, adding words to it. And for example, one my former assistant coach, one of our players was wearing and not wearing shoes in the hallway, and that's so gross. And he said, "Where's your shoes?" And the player said, "I don't have them on." And he's like, "That's you should have shoes on." And the player said, "Okay." And so we're out to ready to go to practice. And I said, "Oh, you got shoes on this time." And he's like, "Oh yeah, coach yelled at me." And I said, "I'm sorry, what was that?" And they said, "Coach yelled at me to put shoes on." And I said, "Can you describe to me the interaction? Could you just describe to me how that went?" And they were like, "Oh, he told me to put shoes on, like it was funny." And I said, "No, no, no, but you used the word yelled. Talk to me more about that." And the player was like, "Well, okay, not yelled." And I was like, "I want you to understand this. You are talking very loudly." I said, "And using the word yelled in that connotation, I was like, means something to people in our profession." And we had a conversation about it. And they're like, "Oh, sorry. It wasn't intentional. It was how
Mhm.
they speak. It's how we spoke." I used
Sure,
to say,
sure.
but now it's just we're extra zoned in, mandatory reporters and everybody listening for those things because if we hear something and we don't do something, it's always the fear of what it could turn into if we missed a statement and then you have to hear it later and it's like, "Oh, well you heard this bullying in the hallway."